Circus, my 8-year-old gelding. I trained him when he was a baby, and we've been working with each other ever since. I want to show you some techniques of lunging that may help you. So let's get started.
First off, using body language is super important. I cannot emphasize that enough. Horses, they read people through their body language, and people should be able to read horses through their body language, and that's just how you create good communication between the horse and yourself. So with lunging, have the horse's shoulder square with your body, and whatever direction you're going, have the inside nostril stay in that circle so that he doesn't throw his head and take his own direction. Also, what I do here is I turn him around when he does something I don't want him to do, like if he starts trotting or if he changes the direction, I just turn him around. That's, okay, start over. We're going to be walking. I've trained my horse to respond to the different cues I've given him. So 1 click is a walk, 2 clicks is a trot, a kiss is a canter, and anything beyond that is gallop. Okay, so when he does this, I look at his face, his neck, and his shoulder, and that's putting pressure on Circus, and so he wants to step away from pressure. Horses are prey animals, they don't like that stuff, so he's going to go back on track, which I want him to do. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for Circus to throw his head like he's doing right now, but I can either interpret that as I'm having fun, or I don't like this and I want to fight it. So just knowing how to interpret that's important too. Things I look for in Circus and other horses to know if they're accepting what I'm telling them is if they lick their lips like Circus just did, if they hang their head, or if they're looking at you. That shows that they are paying attention and they like what you say. The way I stop horses is I look at their rump, and that swings that around because of pressure, and that puts their head facing me, which I want, and I want them looking directly at me, and then I tell them to hoe after they have swung around. So what I'm doing here is Circus, when he hoed, his left hip kind of overswung a bit, so it's facing me, and I don't want that. I want his face facing me. And so I'm clicking and looking at that, causing pressure to be put on that point, and he's backing off. So sometimes this works, and sometimes it doesn't. It just kind of depends on the character of the horse and how well he's responding to you. And I thought Circus was doing pretty well, so I was going to give this a try. So I can tell if he's going to run away or not, just by the way his head's facing me, and if his body's not aligned and I have to keep correcting him, then I know it's probably time to get the rope on him. So like I was saying, you can just tell by the body language of Circus that his head isn't looking at me, instead his hips facing me, and it's taking a lot on my part to display big, vivid body language that I want you to turn, and this is probably the time to put a rope back on his halter. So the reason I didn't attach a rope back onto his halter was because I wanted to show you what to do when your horse runs away like Circus just did. And what I do is I give him a chance to come back. I do this hand motion and I call his name, and normally that works, but this time it didn't, so I make him work for what he did wrong. And by making him work, I kiss to him and I wave the rope, and that just shows you can't come back into my space until I call you, and so that makes him want to appreciate rest in my space a lot more. Like I said earlier, horses are prey animals, so they appreciate safety so much more than predators do. And when Circus is running all over the place, though it looks like he might be having fun, he's really realizing that this is a lot of work, and he doesn't feel safe because it's kind of unpredictable. So that's the point of this whole thing, is to make him run and know that he can come back to a safe place. Again, I use the same technique I used earlier. I call his name and I use my hand motion, and that makes him know he's allowed to come into my space, and so that's what he does. I like to use the technique to see whether my horse will follow me or not, because I know if he does, that he's feeling safe and he respects me. So that's what he's doing here, and that's great.
Let's get you back to where you normally are.
Then we work all over again, and this time it's longer than we did before because I want to know I can trust him if I take the rope back off. And I can tell from Circus's body language that his head's turned towards me, he's paying attention, his body's cooperating with what I want him to do, and he's doing great.